Well, it was shaping up to be a soggy one today, but I think that the rain is going to hold off, so we can continue progress on the log cabin. The chickens came over to join the party, but this is what I'm using for the rafters. They're 1x6s. This was siding on a cabin that was getting torn down, so I went and salvaged them, so they're free to me. I just have these tacked in right now. I got to finish nailing them off, but they're 16 inches on center. They're plenty strong. I've been walking around up on these, bouncing on them, and they don't even give it all. So I salvaged this lumber, like I said, so I'm not going to count this towards the price of the build. If you look hard enough, you can find lumber for free, something that's getting torn down or whatever. But let's say you didn't want to use boards or weren't able to find something. You can peel logs and use logs as your roof rafters as well. That's what I did. That's what I did in my log cabin in Alaska, and that looks awesome. But here, there's just not enough good straight logs to do that. But yeah, this is a tried and tested method. This is how I did my roof on my remote log cabin, not that far from here. Same exact way, pretty much, the same sort of boards, and it's held up great. It's had some serious snow loads on it too, so this is plenty strong. You know, like I said, you're only talking about a 2.5 to, you know, maybe 3 foot gap between these here. So, and the purlins and the ridge beam are what's going to take most of the load. All right, so that made things look a lot cleaner in the front, but I think this thing needs a front door now. Well, here goes nothing. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. You know, it's always kind of odd just cutting a hole in your wall, but came out level. I'll probably end up cutting into this a little bit, maybe halfway. But obviously I don't want to cut through that right now. So I am going to put something underneath this. I'm kind of just thinking about taking these. Well, first of all, I thought about, well, with the saddle notch log cabin, you know, this log would be sitting more, you know, you would be notching it on so you wouldn't have such a step up right here. So I thought about just peeling a log and tacking it in really good up into this one and into the two side ones. Plus it would be sitting on the foundation rocks. So I thought about kind of doing that, but I'm wondering how it would look if I just cut all these, you know, to the right length and had them sitting up under here. I think that might look pretty good too. Obviously I'll put down some tar paper or birch bark to protect the bottoms from rotting. But yeah, this came out good. We'll leave it like this for now until I figure out exactly what I want to do on the bottom here, because I'm gonna have to do something. But hey man, we got a door. It's starting to look like a log cabin. I think I am gonna go ahead and at least frame in my door opening here, just these two sides with a 1x6, because no matter what, this bottom log will stay there. So this right here is the window I'm going to be using right here. I'm not going to include this in the cost either because I got this window for free. I find free windows all the time. I never pass them up when I do. This one, what you can tell, is half of like a sliding window. So I'll just take these latches off here and then just build a easy frame around it and slap it in, and it'll work just fine. But I never pass up free windows. Otherwise, you can go on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and find people giving away windows for free all the time. So this one will be centered in this wall right about here. So that will come up pretty good. I'll probably actually have it down a little bit like this. That'll work fine. And then I have this window here, and you can tell it's pretty big. I have a pretty big window in my other log cabin as well, and it's kind of nice. But I don't know, I'm trying to decide where to put it, or if I even want to use it. But when I build the door, I want to put a little piece of glass in it so I can see out the front here, so I can see the cabin that we live in, and the chicken coop and all that. So that's the center. So now I'll just measure this. .33.5, so I'll make it 34 inches wide. So 17 inches will be the center of my window. So there's that, and then 17.5 wide, so we'll see, 17.5. I want a 1/2 inch for settling, so we'll just call it 18 inches. So 9 inches tall, or 9 inches will be the center of this log. But I don't want to cut into this log. I want this to be the top of the window. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. So 18 inches will go, so I'll have to cut out roughly half of this log right here. So I'll cut, wait, is that right? Looks goofy to me. Yeah, so these three will get cut out no matter what, and then I'll just have to cut off half of this. So I'll just take my chainsaw, make several cuts, just like I've been doing, and then I'll just chop it out with an axe to get a nice flat surface. And then I'll just make a little frame and frame in the window. Easy peasy. All right, let's see how we did. Pretty good. Got a nice gap up here for settling. Tomorrow we'll finish framing in that window. I'll have to run to town first thing in the morning and get my tar paper. I don't know if I'll be able to get metal tomorrow yet or not. I'll have to see what they have. They haven't been having it in stock. So I don't know if I just need to hit it at the right time, but it might be a little bit before the metal gets here. So we might have to wait on that. But let me know what you guys think about underneath here. Will it look cool if I do logs kind of, you know, up and down vertical along here? But yeah, so far, I mean, I'm really happy with how this has turned out. When I was looking at my pile of logs and seeing how crooked some of them were, you know, and I selected the straightest ones I could, I was like, you know, I don't know. We'll see what happens here. We'll do the best we can, but it turned out pretty good, I think. I think we're going to call it a night. Look at that sunset. Skeeter squirrel hunting. Oh, look at the chickens are making their way back into the coop for the night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, you ladies have a good night. See you tomorrow morning. Watch the toes. All right, well, it's a new day. The morale is up. I looked online and saw that they only have 4 sheets of the metal I want in stock, so we'll have to wait on that. But I'll go to town later this evening and get my tar paper. But we're gonna get the window in right now and then see what else we want to do today. So one mistake I made, which I realized when I was laying in bed last night, like a bozo, I didn't account for my framing I was gonna have here. I was going to put a 1x6 and nail it into these logs for like a little box frame, but I don't really need it. I can just make my box here and just frame it in like that, so it'll be okay. So these will be for my top and bottom, my little frame. So the window, these will kind of cradle, the window will be in between these, and that'll keep the window from falling out. I'd be surprised if I can get all these in here without splitting one. I really should go get a drill bit and pre-drill these, but... All right, so as you can see, this window's not going anywhere. So that's a quick, easy way to make a window frame. You can make any piece of glass work by just doing that. Just build a little box, a little frame around it, and then doing the same thing on the other side so it cradles it. And I've done a lot of windows that way. They hold up excellent. So I don't know. I have this, like I said, I have this big window right here. I don't really want to put it on this back wall because I want to... It's kind of where I want to hang all my tools, is up on this wall, you know, have a bunch of stuff hang up, just pound nails right in them and go with that. So if anything, the window would go here, but it's just kind of big for this wall, so I don't know. I might use a different one, we'll see. But for sure, I got to put a window in the front door, out the front, so that will be nice to have. But I'm going to talk about the floor a little bit because a lot of people have been asking about how I'm going to do that. So I'll talk about several different ways you could go about it. So there's several different ways you could go about doing your floor, you know, and there's several different ways you can go about building, I mean, anything. I mean, that's why, like, whenever I do a series, I never say how to build a cabin or how to build a log cabin, because there's a million different ways you could do it, and all that matters is that you have a product that you're happy with and proud of at the end. And if you're happy with it, then who cares? But what I normally do for my floors, and like I said, there's several different ways you could go about this, but I would take my axe. This is what I've done on all my log cabins. I take my axe on my bottom log on my eave wall, get as flat of a surface as possible, and then I'll take a 2x6 and leg screw it into that log, that bottom log, and then I just use joist hangers for my floor joists. And like I said, I've always done that. Those hold up great, you know. Both my other log cabins I built were 12 foot wide, and I don't even have a center support or anything, and those hold up, like the floors have held up awesome. I was just at my remote log cabin, and that floor is just as level and solid as the day I installed it, so that works great. And you know, it all depends on how much weight you're gonna have inside. I mean, when you talk about a house, when you talk about, I mean, furniture and appliances and, you know, I mean, everything, like all your clothes, like every little thing adds up on a floor inside a home. So you want it to be really strong, you know, like in a log cabin, a small space, there's not really going to be any weight in here, you know. Everything's going to be kind of hung on the walls. It's just going to be me and the weight of the wood stove, basically. So it's not like you're driving, you know, a truck in here or anything. So it doesn't need to be rock solid for a floor. And the way I just talked about will work fine. So the Finlanders, which are very well known for their craftsmanship and their buildings are known for longevity, what they would do in their wood homes and log cabins, at least the old school way, I've seen them do it this way, is that they would take birch bark and put that down underneath a log. So imagine this log running the whole length of the cabin. They put birch bark underneath it to prevent it from rotting, and then they would just set the logs right on top. They'd have them level, so these would be kind of your floor joists, and then they would take boards that they ripped, and those would just lay right on top. And that's how they did it. At least that's one way they did it that I've seen, and that's very easy. Obviously, I mean, you can make it as complex or easy as you want, and that's one way to do it. Obviously, you would level these out, you know, and make sure they're level. You know, you might have to, you know, hew it and flatten it out a little bit, but that's one way you can do a solid floor. If you want to talk about really easy and really simple, gravel floor, dirt floor. Many log cabins just had dirt floors or gravel floors. Dick Proennke's, which is probably one of the most, if not the most famous log cabin ever built, all he had on his floor was beach gravel. He just hauled up beach gravel from his beach and spread that out and just built his cabin right on top of it. And I've read all of his books, seen all the documentaries on him, because he's kind of the guy that got me started in log cabin building. He never once complained about, you know, his floor. So, you know, like I said, if you have a short roof on your cabin, a good stove, I mean, it's going to be plenty warm. You know, you don't have to worry about your feet being cold. But the thing with that is then you probably are going to have to wear slippers or something inside. But like I said, he never had any complaints about it that I've come across. So he stayed in that cabin for over 30 years. So that's one way to do it if you have a tight budget. I think the beach gravel looks really cool, personally. And I thought about doing something similar in this, or doing mulch. I've seen mulch before, just regular old landscaping mulch, putting that down on the floor. But the thing is, like I said, I'm going to use this as a workshop mainly. And if I ever do decide to make cuts or something in here, it would just be a pain, you know, with the sawdust on that to clean it. But if you're not doing any of that, I mean, that would work just fine. I mean, you could build just a deck inside here, you know, with some cinder blocks or deck blocks, and just build a platform right inside. You know, when frost heaves, I mean, mainly the ground heaves evenly more times than not, so you're not going to have anything crazy like what you would think. You know, if the floor is not attached to the cabin, it'll be just fine. It's not like it's going to go anywhere. You know, you might have a little bit of shifting during the winter, but nothing alarming. My cabin that I rented in Fairbanks, when I first got there, the floor was basically built the same way with, like I said, how the Finlanders did it, but with treated 4x4s or 6x6s maybe. And then the floor was just built right on top of that. And during the winter, you'd kind of come up a little bit, but it wasn't anything crazy or annoying. And then in the summer, it just kind of came back down. So there's many different ways you can go about it. Like I said, the floor is going to be in the next video. We're going to do the roof and the floor just because those kind of will go together. And then we'll have one more video, which is going to be finishing touches. So the chinking and just kind of buttoning everything up. And then this will be done. So there'll only be 2 more videos left in this series. But I know a lot of people were excited about the floor and been kind of waiting for that. So I just wanted to talk about several different ways you can go about it. None of them are right or wrong. Some might be better than others, but as long as, I mean, it fits your budget and you're happy with it, that's all that really matters. So stay tuned for the next videos. We're going to have this thing wrapped up here, lickety split. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.